Hi, you're joining Scroll's special Election Day broadcast where we'll unpack the big story of the day, West Bengal. The BJP has taken a lead in West Bengal, quite a big lead as of now, and we'll be unpacking that with our reporter Anant Gupta, who's covered the state extensively. Before that, I want to tell you guys also about the other shock result, which is Tamil Nadu, where the TVK has come out of nowhere. This is the actor Vijay's party to actually take a lead in this election. Does this mean the end of the dividend model? The other results. In Assam, the BJP seems to be headed for a comfortable win. As of election commission figures right now, it's leading in 79 seats. In Kerala, the Congress, a rare bright spot for the Grand Old Party. In Puducherry, the NDA is leading. And of course, in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, it's the TVK and BJP. Hi, Anant.
Hi,
Welcome to
Shoaib.
broadcast.
Thank you so much. What just happened?
What just happened, right? Did you expect this?
No, not the extent of the results that are coming in at the moment. Although we must add that counting is still very much going on. About a third of all votes in Bengal have been counted. But as you know, Mamata Banerjee herself issued a statement just about an hour back, trying to motivate her counting agents, her party workers, asking them to stay there, hold their ground, trying to tell them that the tide will turn after sunset. So the Trinamool is holding its ground. Unusually slow counting in Bengal compared to other states. As of now, half the counting is complete in Kerala, half the counting is complete in Assam. More or less clear results in those places. But Bengal quite slow compared to other states, despite all the heavy presence of central government officials, security forces.
What is the Trinamool scared about? Why do you think Mamata released that statement?
The general sense, Shoaib, is that once these trends come in and people like all of us get inputs about what's happening in the rest of the state, counting agents tend to read the mood and they have to flee for their own safety because Bengal, as all of us know, is known for political violence. So if the sense that you get is that in your region, your party is getting wiped out, you might as well run away because you fear that there might be consequences if you stick around. Which is why Mamata categorically underlined that please stay in your boots, don't get scared, don't lose heart. Those are the kind of things that Mamata Banerjee was saying. So that is what is at stake in Bengal. She knows that very well.
In fact, when Mamata came to power, after defeating the left, one of the slogans that she had put out was "Bodla na bodol chai," as in like, which means we don't want revenge, but we want change. But it's almost clear that the Trinamool did not stick to that. The CPM faced a lot of violence post their election defeat. Do you see something similar happening to the Trinamool?
It's so interesting that you say that because ever since polling concluded in Bengal, which was on 29th, the last few days, top BJP leaders in the state have taken exactly this line. They've been holding meetings with party workers and telling them, we don't want to do violence, we shouldn't be violent. So perhaps BJP hasn't had an inkling about which way the results would go. And they were asking their voters their supporters to calm down, stay calm, not engage in violence, and also strike a more conciliatory tone because it's been a very heated campaign. It's been a very aggressive campaign from both sides. So perhaps one hopes that this will not be the case. Maybe political violence, as we've known it all these years, comes to an end. But with Bengal, we never know. We've been here before.
Yeah, we've been here before for very many years. I think this culture of political violence has bedeviled West Bengal since at least the late 60s when the Congress was losing its grip on the state and the communists were trying to edge in. Anant, you spent a grueling time in West Bengal when it was really very, very hot. So tell us, so the, I mean, the final results aren't in. That's a caveat. But it's clear that the BJP is doing very well.
Yeah.
Right? I think that we can say unequivocally. Uh, Unpack what you saw. Why do you think what led to the BJP's good showing right now at 2:04 p.m. on 4th May?
So I think, Shoaib, the biggest factor in this election was the SIR, which was clear from both sides. About 6 months ago, the SIR started in West Bengal. Even before that, there was a sense of foreboding that the SIR would come to Bengal because it had taken place in Bihar before. And I think that has turned out to be the single biggest factor in this election. For the last year, the BJP has been talking about the problem of what it calls illegal immigration in Bengal. Even though the Election Commission, when it rolled out the SIR, uh, it did not say that the idea was to identify citizens. One of the reasons it cited for doing the SIR was to see if anybody had been wrongfully included in the voter rolls. It said foreigner also. But the Election Commission, even after Bihar SIR and after Bengal, has said that no foreigners have been identified. But be that as it may, political parties have known all along that this was about citizenship politics. BJP has consciously chosen to make it about that. In fact, I would say the script for this election was written long ago by the BJP. A very senior BJP leader in West Bengal, Rahul Sinha, said this to me back in July last year. The SIR had not even been announced in Bengal at that time. He told me that there's one critical thing that the BJP needs to win in Bengal. Simple math. Anybody who follows politics will know this. The BJP needs about a 5 to 6% swing of voters from Trinamool to BJP, because the gap between the two of them in the last assembly election was 10 percentage points, right? Trinamool finished with 48% votes and BJP finished at 38% votes. So you need 5 to 6% voters to come from that side to this side. If BJP finishes at 44 and Trinamool at 43, it's done mathematically. What we've seen in this election is a 7% swing, at least going by the trends we have so far. Trinamool has come down to about 41% and BJP is up to 43, 45 in fact, close to 45. So in that sense, they identified what the party needed. How they would go about doing that is the SIR in a very big sense, right? There's two factors, in fact. SIR is a big part of it, right? So Rahul Sinha explained to me that there are about 1 crore illegal immigrants, as he claims, and as a lot of BJP leaders claim, from Bangladesh who are living in Bengal and who are on the voter rolls. So very nicely in Bengali, he said, "Jotota minus korbo, totota amaderke vote kom badhate hobe." The more voters we delete, the less additional votes we need, right? So he said one way to do that would be high deletion, right?
Basically, they're just lowering the denominator.
Essentially, right? So he said, if the voter list stays the same, we need about a 5.5% swing. If it doesn't, right, we need high deletions of what they call illegal immigrants, but what are understood to be Trinamool voters.
Like eventually, the SI number was so close to what Sinha said, right?
It was 12%. The voter list shrank by 12%. So that was one thing he identified. The other thing he categorically told me is that Muslim voters turn out to vote in big numbers, and it is understood that Muslim voters vote for Trinamool. He said Hindu voters don't turn out to vote in the same numbers, even though Bengal is a state that has traditionally seen very high turnout, irrespective of region, irrespective of community. His analysis was that about 70 to 80% Hindus vote, whereas 90% plus Muslims vote everywhere. And his assumption is that Hindus, if they turn up to vote, will vote for the BJP, right? So that was the other factor in his view that would be critical. How many voters who one assumes are anti-Trinamool voters would turn up to vote on the polling booth, who were not coming for other reasons? BJP claims they were not coming because of the threat of violence from Trinamool, local strong leaders, strong men, their lackeys. We also saw extraordinarily high turnout in this election because of perhaps heavy central force presence. That fear factor, or what BJP calls threats from local level Trinamool leaders, did not seem to work this time because we saw high turnout across the state. Of course, the other reason why people say we saw high turnout was the SIR. So going back to what Rahul Sinha told me 10 months ago, both the things that the BJP wanted in this election have taken place. And it's almost like a fairy tale script that the BJP wrote. It did the SIR. Election Commission did the SIR, but BJP is the only major party that supports the SIR. In fact, Bengal BJP is the only party that demanded the SIR. They started talking about the SIR long before it was even announced for Bengal. So that number one factor of deletion also took place, and the swing of voters has also taken place, which perhaps means more Hindus have turned out to vote, more BJP sympathetic voters have turned out to vote. Because the math, as far as the results show so far, is quite simple. 1 in 8 Trinamool voters has turned up this time and gone and voted for BJP. That's decided this election, at least as numbers stand right now. 1 in 8 people who voted for Trinamool last time has voted for BJP this time, has switched. That's what's happened in this
And when
election.
you add it to, so one thing that I wanted to quickly give some information on before we move on to the next point is the Sinha spoke about this, Muslim Hindu divide in the voter behavior in West Bengal. The SIR we saw, especially in the final stage, really concentrated, it seems, on Muslim voters. That's what all the data shows. Could you just unpack that for us a bit? And do you think that made an impact?
I certainly think that has made an impact, Shoaib. In fact, we reported on this. Once the SIR started in Bengal, and the first phase of the exercise was completed, there was no pattern, there no demographic pattern to the deletions, except that deletions were higher in migrant areas that see a lot of migrants coming in. So we saw a lot of deletions in areas that see a lot of migrants coming in, and we saw high deletions among women, which is a pattern that was seen in Bihar too. So women have lesser documents because, particularly here, you have to show documents of your parents sometimes, right? And because of marriage, women change homes, women change families. So there was no demographic pattern to the exercise in the first phase, as long as it was playing out in Bengal. Suddenly, we saw a change in the exercise where this thing called logical discrepancies was introduced, where now enough data is out there, enough analysis has been done by researchers like the Sabur Institute in Calcutta, which have shown that Muslims were disproportionately targeted as the exercise kept progressing. And we saw that from the ground. We visited constituencies in Malda, Murshidabad, which are Muslim majority districts, where anywhere between 30 to 50,000 voters have been deleted in each constituency. That's well over 10%. So in some instances, 20% of the voter base. Right? Samsherganj, a constituency in Murshidabad, saw the highest deletion. 1/3 of the voter list was gone. 95,000 people deleted. So it's been a very big factor, and it seems to have become more accentuated in Muslim areas, Muslim districts, as the exercise kept progressing.
Right. In fact, just to when Anant spoke about logical discrepancies, that is a bit of an Orwellian name because there was nothing very logical about it. I remember one researcher telling me that one person who actually works on data, works on AI, he said that a lot of errors have just crept in because all the logical discrepancy stuff is now being done in Delhi by the EC, right? And all the voter lists are actually in Bengali.
Yeah.
So a lot of discrepancies have just crept in due to one simple fact of rendering these characters into Latin characters, which have, I mean, how do you do it, right? They're all the names in Bengali. There is no standardized transcription. So that has actually just that one little fact, in which is no one's fault, has probably led to a vast number of deletions. We don't know how many, right? And of course, there are other quote unquote logical deletions, such as the number of children you have, or spelling errors in your documents. Like it could, like that, we still don't know. In fact, the few cases it seems that have gone to the tribunals, it seems that there is a very high acceptance rate.
Yeah.
So this is quite a unique election when it comes to India. Do you think the BJP will be tempted to try this model in other states?
I don't know, because the Bengal SIR was quite different from the way the SIR played out in all other states, right? So what we saw happening in Bengal didn't happen anywhere, and perhaps an explanation for that is in Bengal's demographics. India has about 14 to 15% Muslims, what we know from the last census, but Bengal has about 27% Muslims, going by the 2011 census. So perhaps, and the general sense is that Muslims vote against the BJP. They vote for Trinamool in Bengal, but they vote differently in other parts. But perhaps the SIR also played out in Bengal this way because of Bengal's unique demography. But it's hard to tell what's going to come.
BJP basically got the most impact out of Bengal, which it probably might not from other states, at least if it goes according to this communal deletion, which seems to have happened with the SIR.
Yeah.
Right. Number one, SIR.
Yeah.
That's a solid reason. Give me a second reason for why do you think the BJP did well?
So it actually flows from the first reason, in my opinion, Shoaib. I think besides the maths of what the SIR did, whose voters did it delete, whose voters did it keep out of the election, whose voters came out to vote in bigger numbers. Besides that, I think the SIR had a very big impact on the politics of the state, because Trinamool tried to frame it as an attack on Bengalis, on the Bengali identity. Trinamool said that the SIR was being uniquely carried out in Bengal, which meant that the center had set its eyes on Bengal, and Bengal was being targeted. Bengalis were being harassed more than other parts.
Trinamool tried to put a Bengali identity spin to the SIR, basically. That was their defense against it.
Yeah. But the BJP consistently from the start said it was not an attack on Bengalis, it was an attack on Trinamool's vote bank, which is, of course, shorthand for referring to Muslims of Bengal. What it led to, I'm arguing, is a total communalization of the election, where we reported from the ground that even Muslims who were upset with Trinamool for very basic things like civic issues in their districts, the governance delivery, welfare delivery in their districts. There's a very big OBC reservation issue in Bengal, where Muslims have been taken out from the OBC list in big numbers. All those grievances they had to set aside to some extent, at least the Muslims we met, and vote for Trinamool in big numbers because they saw the SIR for what, in their view, it was. Similarly, once the report started coming in that Muslims were going to vote for Trinamool in big numbers, BJP ran a campaign in Bengal saying Hindus need to emulate the voting pattern of Muslims. Hindus also need to consolidate behind the BJP. So we saw an never before seen kind of consolidation of Hindu votes in Bengal this time. The results at the moment at least seem to suggest that. In the Jungle Mahal belt, it seems even tribal areas saw unforeseen, things that we've never seen before, that kind of consolidation in support of the BJP. Likewise in North Bengal. So this became a Hindu-Muslim election because of the SIR, which was not the case before. In fact, BJP leaders I've spoken to for months have always said that it's the one thing that annoys them about Mamata Banerjee's politics, that she manages to get the vote of Muslims plus a good chunk of Hindus, which is what becomes a big roadblock. But this election, it seems, unlike any other election before, became more polarized, became more communal, where SIR played a big factor. And I call this the Rajiv Gandhi trap for Mamata Banerjee. One interesting thing to remember about Mamata Banerjee is that 2021 was her highest point. She's never won that many seats in Bengal, 215 seats out of 294, well above two-thirds majority. Right? Rajiv Gandhi's highest point was 1984, right after Indira Gandhi's assassination. Not just Rajiv Gandhi's highest point, it's the highest point in the Congress's history. It's the highest seats any party has ever won in Indian history. Right? It so happens that it's right after that highest point did both of them lose power. Rajiv Gandhi's government fell in 89 in the next election, fell big. And it seems Mamata Banerjee is headed for a similar outcome in this election.
I think that might be even true for the CPM. Although I think won the largest mandate for the CPM, but we'll have to go and check that.
Yeah.
The other thing, so you're talking about the Hindu-Muslim vote bank. You're saying that, there was always a communal trend in Bengali voting. Not always. Since this BJP Trinamool duopoly came up, there's been this there's a communal split in voting. And you're saying SIR basically exacerbated it.
Yeah.
SIR has pushed more Muslims into the Trinamool's arms, although they might not really like the party, but it's almost a bitter pill that they're swallowing because they want to keep the BJP out. And you're saying that this has led to a counter polarization amongst Hindus who say that, oh, now that Muslims are voting for the Trinamool, we've also got to consolidate. Number one. Number two, when you spoke of the BJP's irritation with the fact that Mamata actually got a significant chunk of Hindu votes till now, I think the biggest source of the BJP's irritation within this topic was the fact that many Hindu women kept on voting for Mamata Banerjee, right? I mean, you've reported, I've reported from Bengal, where Bengal is one of the rare states where there is a gender division within households. Men would sometimes vote BJP, and women would vote for the Trinamool. Do you think this held in this election, or was Mamata's women bastion cracking?
So we'll have to see more granular data to find out if that has happened. But anecdotally, we can say that this was a very big talking point in the election, where Mamata Banerjee was one of the first leaders in the country to start that monthly cash transfer to women, Lokhir Bhandar scheme, which she topped up this time. She raised it from 1,000 to 1,500 for general caste women and 1,700 for scheduled tribe and scheduled caste women. It's a scheme that is associated strongly with Mamata Banerjee. It's a scheme that women identify with strongly. Which is why a lot of BJP leaders, local level BJP leaders in this election, were asking their supporters to stop their wives from voting this time. That kind of campaigning was also happening. We don't know if that played out because women turnout was pretty high, but turnout was high across the board. We'll have to go into more granular data to find out if Hindu women have switched from Trinamool to BJP. I wouldn't think that would be the singular factor or a very big factor, because if that were to really happen, there would be an even bigger swing against the Trinamool, right? Trinamool still has a very high vote share. People are discounting that because in seats, it looks like BJP has double the number of leads that Trinamool does. But the gap between them in terms of vote share is just 3% even now. Trinamool is still a very much a 40% plus vote share party. So it means it's got a lot of votes. And I would conclude that even women have voted for Trinamool this time. But yeah, we've definitely seen greater Hindu consolidation. So we could deduce from that perhaps some Hindu women have also moved towards BJP this time. But that 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 math that we were doing would apply to women too.
Women too.
Yeah.
So amongst women, for the BJP, while it was campaigning, its main attack spear, actually, its main strategy was to bring in women's safety.
Yeah.
And in that, the RG Kaur rape and murder incident, the ghastly rape and murder that took place at the RG Kaur hospital in Calcutta, that was the BJP's main plank. In fact, the mother of the victim was actually a BJP candidate. Do you think that played a role,
Uh,
especially in rural areas? This was obviously very big in Calcutta, but
yeah.
did you see this reflection in rural West Bengal?
So I don't think the RG Kar rape case in particular had a lot of purchase in rural West Bengal. It certainly was a very big defining campaign moment in urban Bengal. But in rural Bengal, I say that I would think it perhaps added to a general sense of fatigue or anti-incumbency against the Trinamool. Uh, Women's safety, I wouldn't say, is the biggest issue in Bengal because Bengal consistently does well on women's safety. Kolkata has been repeatedly voted as one of the most safest cities for women in India. But I think it added to a general sense of fatigue with the Trinamool.
It was an overall kind of snowballing kind of thing that was happening.
Yeah.
Where this might not have been some, complete overturning of the situation as it exists, but every little bit helps maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Right. We're getting an audience question from a Mr. Vishesh Agarwal. It's a bit of a contentious question, Anand. So, do you want to answer it? He's asking, do you think more rounds of counting can turn the result?
Very tough to tell, but theoretically speaking, they can, because we are at what, a third of the vote has been counted, and the vote share is pretty close between the two parties so far. BJP has a 3% lead in this much counting so far. So theoretically, it could turn, but it would require a massive turn, right? To reverse a 3% point lead in like a third of the votes counted. Yeah.
So I'll add a couple of things to that. One is what Anand said, that a third of the votes have been counted. The other thing which the Trinamool is pointing to, and maybe there is some basis to that, is for some interesting reason the Election Commission seems to be leading with declaring results of seats where the BJP is stronger.
Yeah.
Right? It would seem so. These are the trends. Right? That said, I think it is pretty sure that we can right now say that the Trinamool is not going to do very well. Mathematically, I think that's an impossibility. There were people before the election, before the results coming in, saying that the Trinamool might repeat its performance, the SIR won't hit it very hard, and so on and so forth. I think mathematically, logically, we can rule that out.
Yeah.
So right now, the two results on the table are either outright BJP win or something close.
That's a very narrow win for Trinamool or a very narrow like win for the
right?
BJP.
So those are mathematically the two options. So we'll have to go and see. It seems it's going to be a pretty late day, guys. So since the Bengal counting is going very, very, very slowly, we are probably going to be seeing this go on till quite late at night. This is something that is very odd. We were just discussing this in the newsroom, that elections actually in India have become slower. Somehow India conducted elections so much quicker in the 70s and 80s, and now with mobile technology and AI and so on, it's getting very, very slow for some very interesting reason. We'll find out more about that. Anant, in an earlier thing, you spoke about the fact that Mamata Banerjee would use Bengali identity as a shield against the BJP.
Yeah.
SIR was a big factor, I think, when central forces came in. That was a big factor. The BJP tried to, the Trinamool tried to paint it as outsiders coming in.
Yeah.
Very recently, Abhishek Banerjee put out, I thought, quite a remarkable tweet where he said that the Union of India could throw all its forces at us and we would still prevail. Just the phrase Union of India, of course, Union of India here, of course, means the central government maybe, but obviously politicians understand what charge that phrases and words carry. The BJP did a lot to try and battle that. Tell us what the BJP did.
Yeah.
And unpack whether you think it actually succeeded.
Yeah, I think the BJP has succeeded to a great extent in dropping what we call the Bohiragoto image it has, right? Bohiragoto is outsider in Bangla.
Yeah.
The Trinamool has consistently attacked it as the Bohiragoto Janata Party. It's a party of outsiders. But I think there's been a very conscious call from the BJP between 2021 and now to shed that image. And it has succeeded in doing that to some extent for sure. We can anecdotally talk about how the Prime Minister himself was eating jhalmuri in this election. I think it is the defining image of this election in some ways, just in terms of the reach that video had, the impact it made on
And the
social
fact
media.
that so many BJP candidates went along with fish.
Yeah. So
right?
long before the Prime Minister actually ate jhalmuri, because he can't eat fish, he's a vegetarian. Many BJP candidates were walking around with fish, were eating fish on camera during their interviews, and it became one of the big contentious issues of this election. Fish politics, or the Trinamool saying that you're not going to eat fish, you are vegetarians, or you're a party of outsiders. On the ground, in fact, Trinamool was telling working class people that you'll not be able to sell fish. It was not just about vegetarians not eating fish. Trinamool was saying, because
they try to make it into a livelihood issue also.
Yes, because as you know, in Bengal, people sell fish on the streets, and Trinamool said that there would be bulldozers. People would not be allowed to buy fish from the street. They'd have to go to a mall to buy fish. Small businesses would suffer. So it was a very big contentious issue in this election, but I think BJP was able to blunt it significantly by just simply being seen with the fish. In fact, we interviewed the candidate who first came out with the fish, with a big katla mach. And he told me that it was a very conscious call, because we thought the Trinamool was lying about us again, and we didn't want the lies to stick. That's just how politics works. It was a recognition of the fact that those lies had stuck in 2021, even if we agree that they were lies. But perhaps I think this also captures what we were earlier discussing about the fatigue with Trinamool. I don't think Trinamool brought a lot of new ideas to this election. I think it tried to do exactly what it had done in 2021, but to a higher degree. So that, I think, itself put BJP in a better position to counter those talking points. For example, if Trinamool said that BJP is a party of outsiders, BJP would point out that Trinamool has also been sending so-called outsiders to the Rajya Sabha or even to the Lok Sabha. Shatrughan Sinha, Kirti Azad, Yusuf Pathan, they are all non-Bengalis who represent Bengali seats in the Lok Sabha. Likewise in the Rajya Sabha.
In fact, a good argument could be made. Even there are some outside of Bengali. Sagarika Ghosh has nothing to do with West Bengal. Right. She's a proud Delhi Bengali. So it's kind of interesting that the Trinamool really didn't, beyond the point, walk the talk. I think what's happening is the Trinamool is a very so the BJP is a natural Hindutva party. It's a natural Hindu nationalist party. It has been born into Hindu nationalism. The party exists because of the ideology. In Trinamool, I think is the other way around. The ideology exists because of the party. The Trinamool is a Congress spin-off. It really doesn't have much of an ideology other than wanting to occupy power, occupy office. But when I think the BJP came in very strongly, the Trinamool, with maybe Mr. Prashant Kishore's brain behind it, kind of came up with Bengali nationalism as a counter, and it did work quite well in 2021. But as you're pointing out, everything has a shelf life, and maybe just as an ideology, it just wasn't strong enough to counter Hindutva. Like, I think you mentioned this to me in private conversations. One is the BJP kind of positively took on Bengali nationalism. The other is it also batted on its own identitarian pitch, which is communal polarization. So that, it seems, also I think they work at cross purposes with each other in Bengal, right?
Absolutely. In fact, it played out in a very interesting way, because the Trinamool was saying that the Bengali identity is at threat. BJP counter to that was, yes, the Bengali cultural identity is at threat because of what BJP calls infiltration, right? Because of what BJP calls illegal immigration. So the BJP was also able to play on the same pitch, saying that because of Mamata Banerjee's so-called vote bank politics, it was the Bengali identity which was suffering. So in that sense, BJP kept batting on that issue. And BJP has also made this about the cultural identity of Bengal, which BJP and Hindutva supporters argue is fundamentally a Hindu identity. They talk about demographic change. They talk about how Bengal's character will change. And there's, of course, this one of the talking points in the election, or at least months before the election, was that this election is about not letting West Bengal become West Bangladesh. Right? So BJP would also attack Trinamool, saying it's Bengali identity which is at threat. So BJP was able to appropriate that issue.
But I would say the BJP, I think, maybe was more specific. They said Hindu Bengali identity is at threat. And I think the Trinamool said Bengali. So in a way, yes, they were each playing on Bengali identity. It's just that maybe on different facets. I think the Trinamool was saying, I think there's this line from the BJP song UP Bihar Hote Debo Na. So West Bengal shouldn't become UP and Bihar. And I think BJP was saying West Bengal shouldn't become, quote unquote, West Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We're gonna quickly do a little pause in our analysis, and we're going to go to a question from our readers again. Uh, Andrina Mondol is asking, "Hi, Andrila. What do you think about the CPIM's performance this time, Anant?"
Yeah. In fact, CPIM campaigned quite aggressively this time. And CPIM campaigning is a significant thing because historically, from what we know, CPIM and BJP compete for the same voter. By and large, it is the CPIM voter which has moved to the BJP. Likewise, it is the CPIM worker who has moved to the BJP. So the CPIM and BJP are competing.
I think we should add a little bit of that, because I think a lot of our viewers might not, especially our young viewers. Give us a couple. What happened when the Trinamool first won?
Yeah.
There was no BJP in West Bengal at all. In fact, even for the next 5 years, there was no BJP in West Bengal.
Yeah.
But in 2019, we suddenly see. In fact, when 2014, when Modi wins,
Yeah.
the BJP is again almost completely absent from West Bengal. Right?
Yeah.
It's still a CPM versus Trinamool kind of space. What happens in 2019? Why do you think you spoke about the left voter moving to the BJP? What's happening?
So it all happened between 2016 and 2019. 2016, the left and Congress contested the election together, and they gave Mamata a run for her money. They came pretty close to beating her. But it is right after those elections and the panchayat elections that come after that where we see historic political violence in Bengal. And that violence is largely directed at CPIM workers,
In fact,
Congress workers.
Just one second, I'm going to interrupt you, Anant. If you look at what Anant is talking about in 2019, and I'm going to come back to you in a bit, but this is a very stark chart that our producer Priyalis put up on screen. We go from 10.2 percentage vote share in 2016 to 2019 40%.
Yeah,
right?
That's a 30% jump for BJP. Four times the vote.
Four times the vote, right? It's an incredible jump. Look at the jump, and look at the other sort of fall, right?
Yeah.
You have left versus Congress, and they are almost mirror images of each other, right? If you sum the Congress left vote plus BJP and the sum of the three votes, they're the same. So they just turn on a dime. Yeah, please go on.
So this is basically what's happened in Bengal. First, the BJP dislodged the left and the Congress as the natural opposition in Bengal. And now, if you see that chart again, we saw that over the years, the gap between Trinamool and BJP was shrinking. It seems in this election, the BJP will dislodge Trinamool as the ruling party of Bengal. So it's been a two-step journey for the BJP. And a big part of that process was what happened between 2016 and 19, which was rampant political violence against Congress workers, CPM workers, who then needed protection, which the BJP was offering through central forces, through interventions, just the protection of being in a party that will fight for you, that will stand for you. So that's what's happened.
That was a very big thing. The CPM, I don't think they didn't want to fight, but unfortunately they couldn't fight. They just weren't weak. I remember meeting one guy who had shifted from the CPM to the BJP, and he said such a simple thing. He said, if I'm beaten as part of the CPM, no one in my village will only ask for me, but if I'm beaten as part of BJP, the Delhi channel might run news, right? Like he didn't even talk about some physical security, just who is talking about it. He's like, it might become news in Delhi.
At least my suffering will make a headline.
And then of course it leads to many things. But in CPM, that guy will get beaten up in the village, and probably like maybe nobody outside the village will even know that it happened.
But to answer Anjala's question, so CPM has been campaigning, it's been fighting for its place in the state's politics. We wrote a story about his CPM is taking inspiration from Zohran Mamdani for its campaign videos. CPM videos also made a lot of buzz in this election. Might not have translated into votes. But one thing that we've been seeing since 2021 is a slight gradual increase in the CPM's vote share. The Trinamool knows this. CPM doing better would actually help it because CPM would eat into the BJP's votes. However, what's happened in this election, at least so far in the trends, it seems that the CPM has eaten into the Trinamool's vote share. And so has the Congress, so has the Aam Janata Party. Because there's one seat in which CPM is leading.
That's Humayun Kabir's party.
Yeah, that's Humayun Kabir's party. So all these players are leading in just a handful of seats. Humayun Kabir's party is leading in 2, CPM in 1, Congress in 1. They're all seats in the Muslim belt. They're all seats in the Malda Murshidabad districts.
It's an important point, and we're going to come back to that. The CPM always spoke of Aage Ram Pore Bam, which means that the CPM for the longest time had this strategy, dream, or whatever you want to call it, depending on where you are, that once the Trinamool falls, the BJP comes to take its place. That is when the comeback of the CPM will begin. Right? Age Ram Pore Bam literally means first Ram, then left in Bengali. So Ram, of course, is a metonym for the BJP here. Do you think there's any credence to these CPM's plans, or are they just fantasies?
So CPM leaders officially claim we never took this as a position.
Right.
This was never our public stance on any issue. But this is how it played out on the ground.
Right.
In fact, even now, CPM leaders seem to believe that after this election, the party's revival will take full scale. And they were saying this even before the results started coming in. They were saying if Trinamool loses, the party will collapse. Like you pointed out, it has no ideology. And if BJP loses, people will stop hoping that BJP is the party that will defeat Trinamool. So CPM was quite confident that after this election, it will stage its revival. But one thing that a very senior CPM leader in Bengal, Sujan Chakraborty, told me on the day of the vote, 29th, that evening he told me that we've campaigned our best, we've tried our best to tell our voters that we are the ones who will beat Trinamool. But it seems that our voters believe they must vote to remove Trinamool. When they vote with that sentiment, when they don't vote for us because they like us or they believe in our ideology, they see potential, they like our promises. When they vote to defeat Trinamool, some of them go to BJP. So he said this to me on the day of the vote in South Bengal, that many voters are voting with that instinct this time. So perhaps even if the CPM's policy is not Age Ram Pore Bam, that's what seems to have happened.
I mean,
again.
that's what seems to at least naturally be happening on the ground. In fact, we actually might be, this might be the first time in very many decades that we don't have a left government left anymore in any state. It seems that the left is going to be voted out in Kerala.
Yeah.
And of course, in West Bengal, they have, for all practical purposes, ceased to exist. And they don't exist in Tripura, where there seems to be no sign of Age Ram Pore Bam. The BJP has come some time back. But
I think the question in Tripura would be Ram, Age Ram Kobe Bam. When will we see Bam?
When will we see Bam? So, okay. Viewers, thank you for watching. I'm going to make a quick appeal. Look, we're a small independent media house. We do, I think, great work at a time of great press, great stress, great pressure. The press is under pressure in India. There is not a lot of great reporting. Scroll has bucked the trend. If you want to see this sort of independent journalism, free journalism, real journalism from the ground, please donate to Scroll. We're going to put up a QR code on screen that our producer Priyali is going to put up. Please donate. It doesn't cost much to support the media, right? But the benefits are really incredible. And I think all of you watching realize that democracy cannot sustain without media, right? We've already seen large amounts of money being spent on very large media houses and the sort of work that they do, right? And we are kind of standing alone in this. We're kind of standing strong in this, but we want your help if we want to maintain democracy in India. Thank you so much. We're going to get back to our programming. Right. You spoke about the Muslim vote issue a bit back, Anand, before we broke for CPM and appeal. Again, guys, don't forget the appeal. Right. Tell us what happened. So the Trinamool strategy was predicated on a united Muslim vote bank.
Yeah.
And also a somewhat divided Hindu vote bank.
Yeah.
Right. Although what is interesting is if you actually crunch the numbers, as a percentage, the BJP gets a very high percentage of the Hindu vote in West Bengal.
Yeah.
It's more than Gujarat. You guys can go and check that up. It's an immense vote.
Yeah.
But of course, given the very high Muslim percentage, it has to go above an even higher threshold. What happened in this election?
Like you said, Shoaib, the cornerstone of Trinamool's politics is getting total consolidation of Muslim votes. At least that's what it is now. Mamata never started out like that. In fact, when Mamata started out, she did not get much Muslim vote. But at the moment, it's a very big cornerstone of Trinamool's politics. It needs total consolidation of the Muslim vote, and then it needs just about enough Hindu votes to scrape through. It seems that the Muslim vote this time has split to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
I would still say the SIR is a bigger factor. In fact, if we look at some specific constituencies, in a place like Jongipur, for instance, in Murshidabad, the Trinamool has a solid MLA there, 3-term MLA. It's a 50, 51, 49 kind of constituency, Muslim 51, Hindu 49. He's one of the richest MLAs in Bengal, Zakir Hussain. We visited his constituency. He was running a very swanky campaign. He had a Tollywood actor come out and campaign for him. But there were close to 40,000 deletions in that constituency, right? And CPM and I think if not CPM, Congress certainly fielded a Muslim candidate from that constituency. That candidate has taken away some votes, which is greater than the margin that BJP is leading with right now.
Wow.
So BJP is leading that seat, and that candidate seems to have taken more votes from that margin. But would you say it's the Congress guy who's cost him the election, or would you say it's the SIR that has cost him the election? We don't know. Because in that constituency, we met many Muslim voters who were disappointed, who said that they support the Trinamool, but they would not be able to vote this time. Even though the candidate was still confident that they would manage. It seems it's not happened like that. There are many constituencies like that. And this is something that works both ways, in fact. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's constituency, for example, he's contesting from Behrampur, traditionally his seat, even though he's done Lok Sabha most of the time, last few decades. But he's a very popular leader. He's trailing. He's second behind the BJP candidate. And it seems a Trinamool candidate has split the vote against him.
Right.
So it's a pattern that we've seen in other states also, where the opposition, the India Alliance, because we have to remember that Trinamool and Congress are national allies, likewise for the CPIM. But it's when the opposition does not contest elections together is when this vote split happens to some extent. The SIR might still have been the bigger factor in Bengal, but this is also at play. And we saw the same thing happen in Bihar. Bihar too, the Muslim vote split significantly. Asaduddin Owaisi, whose party had written to RJD multiple times, Lalu Yadav's party, asking for an alliance, did not get an alliance, took away about 1.5% of the vote, 5 seats, 5 crucial seats. So this has happened in Bihar before. It seems to have played a bit of a role in Bengal too. But I will caveat that by saying that SIR is still the bigger factor.
The bigger factor.
Yeah.
No, I think there is no doubt about that. The SIR is the bigger factor, but it is also befuddling as to why the India Alliance can't get its act together when it would seem that this is an existential threat for them. So obviously the Congress is really not a player in West Bengal.
Yeah.
But the BJP winning West Bengal will actually impact, I think, its performance and its power everywhere in India. Like the BJP, I mean, if the BJP eventually does manage to win West Bengal, it would be just a psychological boost for the party.
Yeah.
Like maybe second only to actually winning the general elections, right?
Yeah.
The Bengal has been this incredible prize that the BJP has fought for so long. I think what is happening with Bengal, it's not about winning a state, right? I mean, it goes far beyond that. This is an ideological victory, right? It is a psychological victory that I think will really power the BJP very, very far. You can see this on social media. You're seeing BJP supporters from around the country celebrating, which never really happens. Like, I mean, like there are BJP supporters from Maharashtra, from North India, from South India, right? I mean, so it's almost a national unifying moment, at least for BJP supporters. You really don't see that. I mean, I don't think when the BJP wins, say Goa, there are BJP supporters in Bihar exulting.
Yeah.
But this is happening for West Bengal.
Yeah. In fact, when I was on the ground, I met a lot of BJP leaders who would say it's so important for us, also because Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was a Bengali. And we need to bury this accusation once and for all that Hindutva is not Bengali or Hindu nationalist politics is not Bengali. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, of course, is the founder of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which in some ways was the predecessor of the BJP. So yeah, this has been a prestige issue for the BJP. And more than the BJP, I think it's been a very big prestige issue for Amit Shah, who's seen as this campaigning strategist.
In fact, I want you to answer this question. There's actually a question around it. Hold on. There is Anshul Gupta who's asking, do you think Amit Shah staying approximately 15 days in Bengal changed the whole scenario? So that's what Anshul is asking. I would actually want to widen Anshul's question to just beyond Amit Shah. Like, what is the central leadership? What sort of impact did it have? What sort of input did it have in West Bengal? West Bengal, like all BJP states, the state unit is not great. Like it could go to the gym a bit, like it could, bulk up a bit. It's where it's the central leadership that really brings in a lot of its vote, a lot of its energy.
Yeah.
Do you think the BJP central leadership stepped up its game in this election?
Most certainly, I think. I think there are two parts in which I'd like to answer that question. First, I think Amit Shah being in Bengal is just a very big morale booster for the BJP, because the BJP's problem for the last year or so in Bengal has been convincing its voters and its workers that it is serious about winning Bengal. There's been this charge against the BJP that you're not serious enough about Bengal, which comes from its own people, its
And
own
just
leaders.
to add for our viewers from around India, when Anant is saying convince workers or build up their morale, it's just not an airy-fairy discussion, right?
Yeah.
If the BJP loses Bengal, which happened in 21, there will be violence against these workers. So for them to be committed to a party, it's a serious commitment that they're making.
Yeah.
Please go on. Yeah.
So I think that really is a very big morale booster for the BJP. That when Amit Shah says he's the chief strategist for the BJP, when he says I'm going to camp here for 15 days, it gives you that boost. It makes you start believing that the party is going to do everything it needs to do, even the wrong things, right? Because that's true or not, that's the reputation that Amit Shah enjoys.
Sam Dam Dandabed, you're going to put everything in the kitchen sink behind your party, and that obviously will be a big boost, especially if you're scared for your physical safety.
So that he will do what it takes. That's the reputation he has. The other effect I think Amit Shah's presence has on the Bengal BJP, like you pointed out, is that the BJP in Bengal was a divided house. When you see a leader of that stature camping in the state, you decide to bury your own issues. You decide to let your internal squibbling to wait for some time, and you come together under his leadership, right? He gives you focus and attention. He gives you direction. Otherwise, the BJP has been squabbling amongst themselves, the Bengal leaders. Dilip Ghosh has, in fact, in a public interview said that I went to the Jagannath Mandir that Mamata made because I had to show the party that I'm something. Now I'm back in the good books of the leadership. So, in fact, it's unthinkable for our viewers that BJP can also have this indiscipline problem. But Dilip Ghosh said as much, that leaders have to do these things sometimes, right? Likewise,
he had to make his party a little jealous.
Exactly. He had to give them a few sleepless nights. And likewise, Shubhendu Adhikari is somebody who spent all of his career in Trinamool, right? And he's come into the BJP, which has actually not made people happy because BJP has, in all but name, projected him as the chief ministerial face this time. So that makes other leaders unhappy. But Amit Shah's presence kind of buries all those problems because they fear him, they respect him, they see him working hard, so they also want to work hard, bury the small issues. But I think the understated factor, which we've not touched on so far, Shoaib, is that Amit Shah is also the Home Minister of India, right? Amit Shah has the central forces listening to him, the Sashastra Seema Bal, the CAPF, the CRPF, many of these report to him. So it is Amit Shah who says that even after the election, for 60 days, we'll have our people here. That carries weight. So it goes back to the point you were earlier making. It's about if the worker feels secure, it's the Home Minister of India saying that I'm here to ensure your safety. And that has been a very big factor in this election, the use of the central machinery, not just the security forces, but also the investigative agencies. We could say for sure that the Trinamool's campaign machinery was somewhat crippled because of the investigative agencies in this election. The raids on IPAC, first in January, and then the arrest of one of its directors. IPAC is, of course, the Indian Political Action Committee. It's the consulting firm that Trinamool Congress has partnered with and has been campaigning, managing the Trinamool's campaign for.
I want you to back up a little bit. This is an important point that you're making. The IPAC was raided by central government agencies, by the ED, by the Enforcement Directorate. Eventually, the IPAC, it seems, packed up. Right. At least that's what they said on paper. Walk us through this, Anant. You've actually reported on this. You have a fantastic report on this out on Scroll.in, which is why you should support Scroll. Always remember, guys, independent media is really important. We're working very hard to produce these reports for you. If you go back and read Anant's reports, they're deeply reported. They're reported from across West Bengal. And I guarantee you, we're bringing you angles that nobody is. And we're a very small election, we're a very small media house. So to continue this sort of reporting, I would really like you guys to support Scroll. Priyali, could we have the QR code up on screen, please? Here you go. You can scan this. You can go back. You can just Google Anant Gupta Scroll. You'll see all our old reports if you haven't already seen them. Have a look at how thorough the reporting is and do the right thing, guys. Back to Anant, right? IPAC. IPAC, it seems, was really like smashed. In fact, the day it was quite brazen. The day the voting got over, the director who was arrested got released. Walk us through this, and
Yeah.
did it impact the Trinamool?
So, IPAC, as some of our viewers will know, has a reputation. It's a leading player in this political consultancy
It's
space.
practically invented the space, right?
Yeah.
For all practical purposes. Right.
Definitely given it the exposure that it never had.
Mm.
Prashant Kishore became a very big figure in Indian politics, and now he's, of course, a politician himself. IPAC became a bit of a household name, at least in middle class households, because of Prashant Kishore and the way he pushed his work. IPAC has been managing the Trinamool's campaigns for the last 7 years at least. We know for sure. And it's almost become critical to the Trinamool's functioning now. It's much more than a consultant, is what I was able to find out. It manages voting day for Trinamool. It manages, to some extent, counting day also.
In fact, you were telling me, so IPAC not only is so critical to Trinamool, but is so big in West Bengal. You want to tell our viewers your anecdote?
Yeah, I was out reporting in North Kolkata in Shambazar, and I just walked up to an elderly gentleman about in there 64 or 65, a businessman, Bengali businessman, just to interview him and ask him what his sense of this election is. And the first thing he asked me is, "Are you from IPAC?" And I had a tough time convincing him that I'm a journalist. We are still around. We still report. We go out, talk to people. And very, very candidly, he said that, it's these are the only people who come to speak to us now.
In fact, if you read the Hindustan Times today, my friend Nilanjan Sharkar, who's a fantastic political scientist, he's written a piece on IPAC, and his lead, by the way, believe it or not, is exactly the same. He walks into a village in West Bengal, and they're like, "Brother, are you IPAC?" Right? Like, so the thing is, IPAC is so big now that every time someone is kind of, just doing good old reporting, or Nilanjan is a political scientist, he's doing a research. The first assumption is that, if a Bado Babu has come, he must be IPAC. But tell us what the impact was.
Shoaib, IPAC virtually went out of the campaign. I was at their office in Kolkata the day before this news came out that IPAC is folding up its office in Kolkata for 20 days till the end of the elections. While I was there, I did not get the sense at all. I met a lot of consultants who were optimistic, who were upbeat, who were saying that they're winning, they're working very hard. But the next day, they were all gone. Poof, not replying to messages, not taking calls. So what we can say for sure is the Kolkata office was down, which has about 300 employees who manage social media for the party, who give the party inputs, who speak to candidates individually, just gone. What I was able to find out is that they are also still working locally. Their field teams were working on the ground, but undoubtedly there was a significant blow to their ability to function, especially with the leader gone, with the director gone. IPAC has 3 directors. In fact, one IPAC insider told me later that we have plans, we have systems and processes in place, but if you throw a spanner in the works, we don't know what to do without our leaders. We need them to clear our plans. We need them to strategize. And it seems that most of the leadership was not available. One person was, of course, behind bars. The other 2 were also being interrogated, called to Delhi. Undoubtedly, this has affected the Trinamool's campaign to some extent. And it was palpable, actually. The Trinamool was not dominating the discourse about the election this time. It was the BJP that was giving all the talking points most of the time. In fact, after the first phase of voting,
responding, basically.
Yeah, and not responding very well, to be honest, because after the first phase of voting...
You're not very impressed with the Trinamool campaign, right?
No, not this time. I think Trinamool, the song had a lot more zing last time.
Right.
The campaign was a lot more energetic last time. I think the voters' fatigue with Trinamool also was visible in the Trinamool's own conduct this time. Leaders also looked a bit fatigued. In fact, it's the reason why Mamata had to personally keep going and fire them up, right? Including when the EVMs were put inside the strong rooms. It's Mamata who went and guarded the strong room for 4 hours one night, right?
So you think there was a morale issue?
Most certainly. There was a morale issue this time, and there was a lack of energy issue. And that is where I think IPAC plays a critical part. IPAC is able to give you talking points. After the first phase, I was saying that the BJP was able to create this wave in the parts of the state that went into vote in the second phase, that the high turnout means we are winning. The high turnout means our voters have come in. And of course, this is just gas, right? None of us know what high turnout means till results come in. But BJP was able to do that.
True. I mean, I think IPAC, which is really, it doesn't reflect very well on the Trinamool. The IPAC is critical with the Trinamool. I think as far as I understand it, the BJP would actually won in 21 itself if it wasn't for IPAC. It was just a Trinamool versus BJP battle. I think people forget actually that while the BJP might be leading today, but in 2021, everybody and their aunt thought that the BJP is going to win,
Yeah.
including I think so, very many Trinamool leaders, right? So it was widespread, and actually eventually that didn't happen. And I think the reason, or at least certainly one of the major reasons, was the acumen that IPAC brought in, the intelligence that IPAC brought in, right, which just did not exist as an organization within the Trinamool. Cool. Let's check if we have any more questions. Can this Bengal election put some effect on 29 Lok Sabha seats as far as the BJP is concerned? Says Amrit Gupta.
It's hard to tell because every election is different from the previous one, and 29 elections are still quite far away. But being the ruling party of Bengal, if the BJP becomes the ruling party of Bengal, will certainly play a part. As we've seen, Trinamool managed to win 29 out of 42 seats in the last Lok Sabha elections, right? Whereas, its national elections are largely about national parties. But it is a big factor, and it might play a role this time also.
Do you think there was anti-incumbency against Mamata, or like people just like they were done with Mamata after three terms?
I didn't get an overwhelming sense that people are really fed up with Mamata. That's not the sense that I got, which shows in the vote share also. Mamata still enjoys considerable support, and we should also factor in the voters who could not vote. But there was some anti-incumbency for sure, and I think that's what the BJP was able to tap into. The BJP used a lot of things that are directly out of Mamata's own book, right? The BJP's catchphrase in this election was Poriborton, which is Parivartan or change in Bengali and Hindi. The BJP used that word, and this is a word that Mamata solely introduced into the Bengali political lexicon, right? So BJP actually was able to talk about, present itself as the party of change. It's the BJP that was able to say that, you've given 34 years to the left, you've given 15 years to Trinamool, give us 5, right? And in fact, I think one high point of the election was when the Prime Minister said that don't look at our candidates, right? Which is actually very valid because BJP doesn't have the best candidates. Its candidates are not known to be fighters in state politics, and Bengalis like their politicians to be fighters. That's when the Prime Minister said, don't look at our candidates. I am the candidate in all 294 seats. That's what Prime Minister Modi said in this election, which again is a line lifted from Mamata. It's what Mamata used to say back in 2011 and in 2016, that you vote for me, don't look at my candidates, right? So it's a lot of these things that BJP took out of Mamata's book, just to be the party that kind of stands for change in sort of to catch anti-incumbency as a factor, right? And it was just constantly saying, give us 5 years, give us one chance. That's what the election became about in the end. We discussed a lot of the ideological points that the BJP brought to the campaign, but it would be a disservice if we don't say that BJP more or less abandoned all ideological points in the last phase of the election. In the last 10 days, it ran a very smart bread and butter issues campaign where it was only talking about high migration out of Bengal. It was talking about not having jobs in Bengal, things like that. So it was able to kind of switch gears in a way, because the ideological work was all done. Your workers were motivated. Your core supporters were going to come out and vote for you. And that's when the BJP started also concentrating on swing voters. It started appealing to left voters, saying that don't waste your vote. Give us a chance. In fact, there's a very viral clip of the BJP state president, Shoaib Bhattacharya, asking left voters to, I know that you feel uneasy voting for us. Look away and vote for us. Vote with your left hand. Don't vote with your right hand. Right. So BJP was able to do things like that.
Cool. We'll go for a final question, and then we will wrap up with a small little package from Remember. The other big story today is Tamil Nadu. TVK seems to be headed, or at least is in the lead in Tamil Nadu. It's a party, remember, that just came up in this election, headed by the actor Vijay. It carries on a Tamil tradition of people coming from the movies and entering politics in a big way. We will unpack what that means. Samar Sharma is asking how will this affect national mood and change dynamics in the opposition. So I think I'll take a little crack at this. I think Anant and I were talking about this earlier. I think these two states falling, the West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, is very interesting because I think what we've seen over the past 12 years is that the BJP's main ideological opposition has been state-led identity, federalism, however you cut it. There's different ways to cut that cake. State identity, linguistic identity, federalism. It's this thing that has actually on the ground actually electorally battle the BJP, right? We've always seen this. BJP is uncomfortable with this. When the Trinamool comes up to the BJP and says that you can't eat fish, the BJP actually becomes uncomfortable with it. Now, contrast this with say North India, right? The BJP does a lot of food policy in North India, but if someone actually frontally attacks the food policy of the BJP, it's the BJP that will gain. You will never see the Samajwadi, for example, very viciously attack the BJP on its beef ban laws because it knows that that's a politics that will actually be detrimental to it. But the BJP in Bengal faces this problem and it tries to actually eat fish. Mr. Modi, of course, couldn't get around it because he's vegetarian, but he still managed to eat jhalmuri. Now that actually is the BJP will go with this election feeling very buoyant, feeling very happy, because remember, I think there's a quote by Mr. Prashant Kishore on a podcast where he says the BJP, he says it in Hindi, he says इससे पहले बड़ी बड़ी सरकारें आई हैं. There have been bigger governments than the BJP. But what is unique about the BJP is it wants more than your vote. It wants to capture your mind, right? It is an ideological party, right? That is what the BJP is. It wants to change how you think, what you eat, what you wear, who you love. That is the BJP. It's a totalizing party, if I could use that word. That if you consider those to be the BJP's aims, then the fall of this federalist ideology is a very, very positive sign for the BJP. The fact that both the DMK and the Trinamool, almost these two leading parties which led this front, have fallen in this election. The BJP should be very pleased. If you're a BJP supporter watching this, you will be very pleased because an ideological opponent has been bested. It seems that now the only ideology, I mean, I've always hesitated against about using the word hegemony for Hindutva in India, and I still maybe think it's not true because India is a very, very big country, remember, but it is getting closer to that. It seems that controlling a state government actually gives you a lot of power, gives you resources, gives you the police at hand and so on. Right now, of course, there is nothing, and the only opposition is disparate. It's distributed. There is no ideological coherence to the opposition. So this is I think a big win for the BJP, a big win for its attempt to shape the national mood, as it were.
I would just add one thing to what you said, Shoaib. I think it can't just be seen in isolation what's happened in Bengal, because if we go back to how the India Alliance came to be back in 2022, 2023, it was two main leaders. Its two tallest leaders, besides, of course, the Congress party, were Nitish Kumar and Mamata Banerjee, right? Who, of course, famously don't get along well, but they were most certainly in most of North India, if we count Bengal as North India, the two tallest opposition leaders left.
Controversial point.
But
Right.
two tallest opposition chief ministers in Bengal, contemporaries of Mr. Modi in many ways. Nitish Kumar, of course, switched sides before 2024, and now he's not even a chief minister. Mamata Banerjee, it looks like will not be the chief minister. So it certainly takes out many of Mr. Modi's contemporaries from his competition. Because remember that a lot of Mamata supporters would have said, were already saying, in fact, that she should be prime minister. She should be the India Alliance's face for prime minister in 29. I think this kills that conversation. 2029, if at all we have to look at it like that, is going to be about Modi versus Gandhi, Modi versus Rahul now.
In fact, that's a very sharp point. In fact, from all that we know from the reporting, it seems the India Alliance did kind of break down on Nitish versus Mamata. Mamata was dead against Nitish becoming the convener, and then of course, then Nitish switched back to the BJP, and that's all she wrote. Right, cool. Really, do we want to go to Tamil Nadu right now? Cool. All right, Tamil Nadu, the other big story, remember, TVK has come out of nowhere. It's got, let me read out the results for you guys right now. The leads according to the Election Commission. I know there'll be a lot of leads floating around on your television channels. I don't trust them. We're going to go through the Election Commission, right? Which we can debate about them a bit later. So TVK is at 107 leading, the DMK is at 57, and the AIDMK is at 51. So incredible result. I was speaking to a reporter from Chennai yesterday, and she was telling me that maybe the TVK coming up might help the AIDMK because in a first past the post system, if the opposition vote gets divided, the first party wins, except the DMK seems to have done so well that it's ended up impacting the DMK itself, right? Cool. I think let us go to our package. We have Ayush from Chennai. He's reporting on the mood of Tamil Nadu after this political earthquake.
There can't be a sharper contrast than that between the party offices of the TVK and the DMK in Chennai today. Early trends showed that the DMK had a lead, but everything changed by 10 a.m. when actor turned politician Vijay's TVK took a big lead, with even the AIDMK and its allies taking the second position. There is jubilance here at the TVK office, most of it led by young men who seem to be his key supporters. All of them have a whistle, which is the party's election symbol, and are blowing on it non-stop. Some of them told me that before polling day, they persuaded their parents to set aside their allegiance to traditional parties like the DMK and the AIDMK and vote for Vijay just once. They are very taken in by his on-screen cinematic persona of hero of the people and insists that his appeal cuts across caste lines. Before coming here, I was at the DMK party office, which was more than 10-20 kilometers from here. And the mood among workers there was of confusion and listlessness. One of the workers did not really speak English, but for my benefit, he used two English words to describe the sentiment. They were shock and unexpected. Workers said that their worst case scenario was that the TVK might have a slim advantage over the DMK. But as things stand now, DMK being in the third place behind even the AIDMK and its allies, or the DMK trailing in most seats in Chennai, which is strong poll, has only added to their disbelief.
Thank you, Ayush Tiwari. That was my colleague Ayush Tiwari. He's a brilliant reporter. I'll give you a little backstory of why he's in Chennai. He's not in Chennai actually to report. It just so happens that he is reporting on it. He's actually just won the ACJ award for investigative reporting. He's a fantastic investigative reporter. I just want to tell you the story to tell you the sort of zeal that we bring to reporting. He's actually not there to report. He's there to collect an award over a fantastic series that he done a bit back. But he went there, he saw a political earthquake that's taking place, and he called up our editor and said, I'm going to do a quick story for you guys. And he did a package and he's going to file a piece also later. Part of this is just enthusiasm. Part of this is also because we actually don't. This is him getting his award yesterday from the ACJ, which is the Asian College of Journalism. Part of this is Ayush's enthusiasm. Part of this, guys, is because we don't really have a lot of money, right? We would love to send people to Tamil Nadu to report, just like we sent a reporter to West Bengal to report, right? We are not like a big media house. We don't have money to spend, and that's where we would want you to come in, right? Please support Scroll. Please support real journalism in India. We need it more than ever. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your work as well as your insights today, Anant. That's all we have for today. Thank you.